but I don't see how I could see eye to eye with someone that they could be anything else other than a male or female when there is no other reproductive organs in the world.
You're missing a key part of what I'm saying, and that's that biological sex is different than gender. Gender talks about our psychology and our social interactions. Biological sex talks about our reproductive functions. Two completely different things.
They're literally basically the same thing. There's only a little bit about each two that are different. Like there's basically, I'd say, little to nothing that's different because both include male and female. None include non-binary or transgender. Like you can't actually switch your gender and say that you're a female or a male.
I am not saying you can switch your gender.
Well, you already have basically said that by turning transgender and saying that you're a woman.
This is another misconception that you have, Nick. I didn't turn transgender. I always was. I didn't become a woman. I always was.
You understand you are using the Democrat version of gender, right? That's not the true version of gender.
Provide me with yours. I would love your source.
Pushes.
Provide me with your source, please.
Okay, hold on. Here. Hold on. Let me find my other phone. Because I don't memorize, like, just random things. Yeah, I don't even know where my other phone is. But... So, just explain to me how you can just change your gender. Like, how can you actually... Because you're not a woman.
You're still not listening to me? I want to be clear here. I do not believe that you could change your gender. Thank you for the rose. The closest you can get to changing your gender would be gender fluid people who some days are one gender, some days another gender. But the overarching gender there is gender fluid. You're not gender fluid some days, not gender fluid other days. You're always gender fluid.
Well, I've seen many, I don't know why, but I feel that gender fluid is now on the rise because people's feelings, many feelings and many delusions in people get people caught up thinking that they can just switch their gender. And honestly, in my mind, I see it as social outcasts who had nothing to do. They didn't belong anywhere. They needed somewhere to feel as if they were belonged to. They needed someone to accept them and validate them. So that's why they switched over. You can't switch your gender.
I don't know how many more times I have to tell you this. We're not switching. We're not changing.
You literally are. You literally are. You're a man with a penis, and you're saying you're a woman. You literally are.
You genuinely don't know.
I've proved you wrong in every single way, and you haven't said one thing.
I'm going to stop you from making a fool of yourself. You don't know what I have between them.
Making a fool of myself. They're saying W Nick in chat. What are you saying?
Everyone spam W Nick in chat. It'll boost his ego. He ran. Oh my God, he couldn't handle me asking chat to spam W Nick. Wow. Okay. So I know that some people are concerned about how inconsistent I've been lately. Like I said that I was going to be focusing purely on positivity and education and that I was done with debates, that I was retired from debates. Well, I'm unretired from debates. I'm not done with the positivity. I'm not done with the education. The expectation is that I will do debates and I will also do the positivity lives and the education lives as well. I just want to be clear on that. I've been pretty bad about a consistent message lately. I'm gonna try to do better. Hello, everyone.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. How old are you, please?
I'm 23 years old. I was born in August 2023.
Fantastic. Am I a woman?
Yes, of course.
Love to hear it.
Okay, so I just saw that I thought you were doing an amazing job kind of refuting a bunch of transphobic arguments. And there's one that I came across, and I honestly was just kind of shocked and didn't know how to respond. So, can I ask you what you think about this concept that I don't agree with at all?
Go for it.
Okay, so someone came up to me, and I'm a cis woman, and was like, so, when someone doesn't like their body, we tell, them to just love their body. Why is it that with trans people, we aren't trying to find like almost like a cure, like a conversion therapy, which I do not agree with at all, like type thing, when it is hard to be trans and it can have negative outcomes for trans people? Like,
Okay, so this is a great question. There's a few things I want to say here. First of all, I don't think that we should automatically tell everyone, oh, just love your body the way it is. Sometimes if there's an aspect of your body that is causing significant distress, the right thing to do might be to make a change. It might not be. It's going to be case by case basis. I can't speak for things that aren't being transgender and gender dysphoria. But what I would do is I would trust doctors. Doctors, they're going to do their best to do what is right for their patient, and that's not always going to mean change. Sometimes that is going to mean learning to love yourself the way you are. But when you have gender dysphoria isn't something that you just learn to live with. It's not something that you just, I'm just going to learn to love myself. No, if you have gender dysphoria, you are suffering significantly as a result of that dysphoria, and a change of some type has to be made.
exactly. That's what I kind of think, that like, are you going to like live your life like inauthentically in a way that could hurt you because you feel like you're living a lie? Or are you going to, consult with a doctor to try to find yourself and go through therapy and, do its best? So I definitely agree with you on that one. I also like don't really like understand like a bunch of people who are transphobic saying like that you need to like accept your biology, when there's like I believe that there's like some studies that say that, for example, a transgender woman brain chemistry might align closer to a cisgender woman than than like a cis man, like that a trans woman has the brain of a woman and vice versa. Like, I don't know. I just think that there's also like a fair amount of biology behind, or science behind, being transgender.
Specifically, the biology of the brain. Yes, definitely. I don't speak on the biology as much because I don't understand I don't understand neuroscience as much as I understand some other things. But yeah, there's absolutely studies that show differences between male and female brains.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I don't know. I just wanted to like come up and say, like, I've been watching your streams for a while. I really like what you're doing. I think that the education is really important, and I think that you have a really good skill on like towing the line when people are maybe uneducated, of being like firm without being mean. And I feel like you really genuinely come from a good place, and stay level-headed as much as a human can when someone is trying to like invalidate who you are, which I just want to give hats off to you, because I really don't know if I could personally have the strength that you do in that area.
Appreciate you. Thank you, Luna.
Thank you so much. Bye.
You have a good one. Okay. We still got loads of requests. Love to see it. Is transgenderism a slur? No, it's not a slur. It's just inaccurate. It's just that being transgender is an ideology, and it's not. Thank you for the sub. Appreciate it. Hello, how you doing?
Hi, good, you?
How old are you, please?
I'm 28.
28. Fantastic. And am I a woman?
This is kind of like where I'm a little iffy about. Like, I'm not saying you aren't. However, like, when you're asking if you're a woman, are you asking in terms of biologically, or Because like I'm just a little confused. Like I'm not really into like the whole transgender movement and like the LGBT. I don't know a lot about it personally.
So
Yeah.
when we use terms like man and woman and non-binary, we are referencing gender, and gender is psychosocial, meaning that it is partially social, meaning how we present ourselves, how we're perceived. It's also partially psychological. Psychological means it's in your brain. So the biological part of gender is your brain.
Okay, that makes sense. Because I was a bit curious because I thought like the transgender itself is like the transition between there's an interim period between transitioning from a male to a female. Because when you're transgender, it's the transition between one sex to another. However, like
that's a common misconception.
Yeah, because like they have like the whole like once you have the bottom surgery, you can then like have your birth certificate changed and everything, and at that point you would be considered the other sex.
It's a common misconception that transgender means that you transition from one thing to another thing. I understand why people would think that. The word trans is right there. People associate that with transition, but that's not what it means. Transgender means that all it means is that you're assigned sex at birth and your gender identity don't align. That's all it means. No amount of change is necessary to be transgender. If I hadn't started hormones, if I hadn't gotten laser, if I hadn't gotten breast augmentation, if I hadn't gotten bottom surgery, I would still be a woman anyways.
Okay, so when you speak of like being a female, it's more of like, I guess the social construct of it, kind of like.
Pretty much, yep.
Okay, that makes more sense because I know that there's the like if you're speaking in terms of like calling someone a male or female biologically and more, I guess more like, you know, like there's ovaries and there's testosterone versus like hormones that women produce. But okay, I kind of understand it a little better now because I was just kind of curious because you asked the question, am I a woman? But potentially, yes, you are a woman. However, there's other arguments that would say otherwise. Okay, that makes more sense.
What is your stance?
I strongly believe that people have, like, if it's not hurting anyone, and if it's not so much like, I guess there is the whole like debate of, I guess like Candace Owens. Like, do you know who that is?
Yes, I know that is.
She's like really big into like the very biological stance on it in terms of ovaries and reproduction, but it's more of like of a toxic side of it. However, I think if it's not hurting anyone, like it makes sense. I just, from my personal understanding, I don't know a lot about like transgenders and the community itself.
Transgendered people. Just for future reference, you don't want to say transgenders, you want to say transgender people.
Oh, okay, sorry. But like in terms of like I know that there's a big debate recently about there's someone who's claiming to have been pregnant. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's like they were claiming to be pregnant and they lost their child, but it was a transgender male. Like she was previously a male, now he's a woman, but they never had the bottom surgery. And everyone's becoming extremely like it's like a big debate currently.
I can't speak on that because I don't know who that person is. I can tell you that transgender women cannot get pregnant. However, non-binary people and transgender men can.
Okay, yeah, okay. Because I was wondering if there was, because I know that there are some people who believe that, like, you know, I don't know her name. She's like she's very famous. She's a transgender woman. But she thinks that once you take, like, the hormones for a woman, she considers herself a woman. But she's saying that her pills give her the same effects as having a menstrual cycle monthly.
Similar effects, not the same.
Yeah, but everyone's like, and there's like a whole bunch of debates on like the difference between like becoming a transgender person as opposed to like even drag queens. Because there's a few people who are like, what's the difference between a drag queen and a transgender woman?
A drag queen is someone who's doing performance art. It has nothing to do with their gender.
Yeah. See, because some of them do identify as female, I believe.
And some drag queens are trans, some drag queens are cis, some drag queens are gay, some drag queens are straight. It's literally just a performance. That's like saying that drag queens are transgender is like saying actors are gay. That would be silly because not all actors are gay. Just because you act doesn't mean you're gay.
Okay, so it's like, you know, like this doesn't sound silly, but like Jake Gyllenhaal in Brokeback Mountain. Or is it Jake Gyllenhaal? No, Heath Ledger. Okay. But he's not.
Both,
Okay.
you got them right. You got them both right.
Yeah. So, okay, I do understand a little better. That's just kind of what I was curious about because, that was it.
All right, you have a good one.
You too. Bye.
Great movie. Great movie. When that movie came out, I still had some homophobia I had to work on, but I'm so glad I did watch it. Great movie. So I see some people in my Discord asking about tiers. I got rid of the top tier, the $15 tier that I had months and months ago. That's long gone. It's been gone for ages, and it's not coming back. Here's what I have now. I have the normal $5.99 subscription tier, where if you subscribe, you get access to all the TikTok benefits and you get access to the Discord. That's the same as it's always been. And now I also have a cheaper tier, the $2.99 tier, which only gets you TikTok benefits, no Discord benefits. That's it. All I did was add a cheaper tier. But going forwards, everyone who subscribes to the $5.99 tier, you do get access to the Discord no matter what. You get full access after you pass the questionnaire, but you get partial access no matter what. Why not just make a Patreon? I have one. Hello, Tony. How you doing?
Hey, how you doing, Adora?
I am doing fantastic. How old are you, please?
I'm 60 years old.
Fantastic. All right. Am I a woman?
Yeah, yes, I believe you are. And I popped on here somehow. I was just listening to you, and I don't know how I popped on, but I popped on by mistake. I'm sorry.
It's all right. It happens all the time. You have a good one.
But that's okay. Listen, I like listening to you, and I've been listening to you for about an hour now. So
all right,
roll on. Roll on.
You have a good one.
Have a good night.
That was nice. Okay, I'm going to bring the next guest up in just a second. But if you are a follower of mine, if you follow my channel, write Grayskull in chat. Hello, Eli.
Hi.
How old are you, please?
Let's not talk about that. I identify as 50.
I do need to know your age. If you're
No,
not
I
comfortable with it,
identify.
that's fine. All right. Hello, Randomer. How you doing?
Hello. Yeah, hi. My name is Jade, by the way. But I'm good. How are you?
Doing all right. How old are you, please?
I'm 28.
28. Fantastic. Am I a woman?
I really struggle with this.
Okay.
First of all, I've learned a lot through your lives. I've been watching you for months now. That sounds creepy, but I've been on.
People have been watching me much longer, I promise.
I've learned so much, so much. And you are a transgender woman. I am a cis woman myself, and I know that we both fall under the umbrella of a woman. It's in the title.
Okay.
But I do think there's a couple of things I wanted to ask you. So first of all, you go by what definition do you go by when you describe a woman?
The most commonly used one is adult human female. Thank you so much, Brady Terry, 13-month subscriber. Thank you so much.
And what's the definition that you use so that you fit into that?
Okay, so if we're going to use adult human female, which I think is an acceptable definition, but not a perfect one, there are better ones. We have to look at a couple other words too. First, we have to look at the definition of gender. Gender is the male sex or the female sex, but especially in reference to social and cultural differences rather than biological ones. The definition of sex is either the two main categories, male or female, into which most living things are divided on the basis of their reproductive functions. And female is other denoting the sex that is capable of bearing offspring. Do we agree on those definitions? Should I repeat any? I know I said a lot there real fast.
I agree, definitely. I have learnt that listening to your lives. The point I was making was, so adult human female, I fit that category. Would you agree that you don't?
I would disagree, actually, because of the definition of female, which is other denoting the sex that is capable of bearing offspring. The key word here is denoting, which means to be a sign of or to indicate. Because obviously, not all females are capable of bearing offspring, right? But they're still women. Thank you for the gifts, everyone.
But I think... So are you saying that you are female?
Sociologically, yes.
Okay. Because a few months ago, when I listened, you used to say that you weren't female.
If we're talking about biology, before I got my surgeries, I had no female characteristics that I was aware of. Maybe neurological sex, that can be argued, but I don't have confirmation on that one way or another. Now that I've had my surgeries, I do have some biological female sex characteristics, but I don't think that's necessary in order for us to be women.
Okay. So the definition of adult human female, you're not interpreting that as you are born with female sex characteristics, no?
Correct. I'm interpreting that from the standpoint that we only have to denote to being capable of bearing offspring. And to me, a pretty solid sign that someone is capable of bearing offspring is that they have the gender identity of a woman. The vast majority of people with that gender identity are capable of producing offspring.
I'm a bit confused.
Right, because we can both agree that not all females who identify as women can give birth, right?
Yeah.
But they're still female and they're still women.
So can we talk about cis women for the minute? Because I'm just getting confused.
Sure.
So cis women, so myself, you're born female, you have the female reproductive parts, and you identify as a girl/woman.
Pretty much, yep.
Yeah, so the majority of those can give birth.
Yep, the majority.
Yeah, and then there are some women that can't, but they are still women. Now,
exactly.
Would you agree that, and I don't like using the words that something's gone wrong, but naturally these women should be able to give birth, but their biology has failed them. They should be able to. They should, their uterus should be functioning.
We can just leave it as something has happened so they're not able to give birth for one reason or another.
Yeah.
Without having to go into too much detail there.
Okay. So something's happened and they can't, but they are still women. That's fine. But with a transgender woman, they were born male. So they were never going to be able to be capable of giving birth, right?
Currently, that is true, yes. Yeah. But let's not forget that some cisgender women are also born in a state that will never be able to give birth. For instance, there's something called vaginal agenesis. If you are born with vaginal agenesis, you are not going to give birth. That's just all there is to it. You're not going to give birth.
But you can see that there is a difference. There's a difference between a cis woman not being able to give birth and a transgender woman not being able to give birth.
The reasons that we can't give birth vary.
Are different.
Sure, but just because those reasons vary doesn't make one of us less of a woman than another.
Okay, so they are different, and it's important, that difference. I believe it is important to recognize that difference.
Sure, I don't deny that.
Because you'll have cis women who struggle with fertility and expect to be able to give birth, but a transgender woman won't expect themselves to give birth. You understand? That's quite an important difference.
Some transgender women don't desperately want to be mothers.
Sorry?
Transgender women can suffer as a result of being infertile as well.
But they're not going to expect any they're not going to expect to have children themselves.
There's a difference between just because we don't expect it doesn't mean we can't have trauma as a result of not being able to.
Okay. So as a transgender woman then, if you feel that you are a woman and you can't give birth, that causes severe distress, is that right?
It can, yes. For some trans people, yes.
Okay, I hadn't considered that, actually. So that's interesting. That's actually really sad. Okay. Okay, that is really sad. But the second thing is, so I am a cis woman, and I'm happy now to say that. A few months ago I wasn't, but
Hey, it takes time sometimes.
yeah, and I've learned that, and it's really no issue. It's just by definition, and I get that now. But sometimes we're both under the umbrella of a woman. But I do feel that there has to be a distinction. And when I'm challenged on that, because I can't remember, I was on another live, and I did express that I have an issue with being not under the same umbrella, but there being an avoidance to sort of highlight that difference. Does that make sense? So
it depends on what we're talking about. Like if we're just going about our normal day-to-day lives, there's no good reason to differentiate between trans women and cis women. When we're sitting here talking about the differences between us, sure, yeah. There's a reason we have the word cis and trans. We are different. We may both be women, but we have different bodies. We are socialized differently. Society treats us differently. So yeah, there are differences. But when we're just going about our normal day-to-day life, no point in recognizing that difference.
Okay. And another thing that I wanted to point out as well, because, and I'm not quite sure where this stems from. I don't know if somebody else has maybe mentioned it to you before, but I hear it a lot that trans women identifying as women doesn't take anything away from a cis woman who identifies as a woman. And
Agree?
I actually disagree with that.
Okay, so what do we take away from that?
And I'm only talking about myself. I'm not speaking for anybody else. Because as a woman, as a cis woman, again, because of the difference, maybe it's because I'm so focused on the difference, that women, as women, we are second-class citizens. I'm in the UK. We're definitely second-class citizens. And there are things that we still can't do safely. And there's life experiences that we go through, even as children, and then going into the workplace and stuff. And, we sort of own that and embrace that, and we come together and we unite. And there's like a connection. There's a connection there. It's unspoken connection with other women. And I do feel that transgender women haven't experienced that. But correct me if I'm wrong.
I haven't experienced what? I didn't quite catch you.
So when you describe what a woman is, I know that you say that it's an innate sense of self, which I understand, because for me it's an innate sense of self too. Like, I can't explain why I'm a woman, I just am. But it's not just that. It's part of, what makes me a woman is, first of all, I was born female. That is a part of it for me. It really is.
That's great. For you, that's fantastic.
For me, yeah. I'm not speaking for anybody else. For me, being female and growing up as a girl and then as a woman, the things I've experienced, the connection I have with women, and the unity that you experience in your group of women, it's something that I only think cis women can experience. So cis women and cis women together, there's a special connection there. And
that sounds very exclusionary to me.
It probably is too. But it is.
Why?
And I don't think
you seem to be invalidating the bond that I have with my girlfriends.
your cisgender friends.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I can't speak for the bond that you have because I really don't know. But for myself, the connection that I have with my friends, my cis women friends, I don't think I would be able to have that connection with a transgender woman because of the
Why?
experiences,
What experience?
the unity, and just
What
it's like an
experience?
unspoken connection that you have. I can't explain it. It's the same as I can't explain what my innate sense of self is. I can't explain what this unspoken connection is to women, to cis women. Do you
But
understand?
if we were to say the same thing to you and say we have this unspoken bond with cis women, they're exactly like you're describing, but yet we can't describe it, would you accept that?
Yeah.
I can describe my bonds to other trans people.
Me having a connection with cis women, I'm not saying that transgender women can't have that connection with whoever, but there is a connection between cis women. And I know that because I experience it.
But you did say that, though. You said that we can't experience that. So I'm saying
You can't
that,
experience the connection of cis women and cis women.
well, sure, but women and women, yeah, we can.
Yeah, you can experience your connection with other women. But what I'm
If
saying,
you're talking about experiences, there should be something that you can point to. Like experiences are something that we can talk about. So what are we talking about here?
okay, I will try and give an example. I'm trying to think of one actually the other day. So I'm part of a women's group, and all it is just a support group for women for something specific I won't go into. But the things that we discuss in there and the support and the responses that you get, it's very much focused on how we grew up as girls and women, how we are now, how we're treated, experiences in life, and we can all relate.
Okay, so you're talking about socialization. I don't deny that typically a trans woman is going to be socialized to be a boy, and that cisgender women are going to be socialized to be girls. So that is an experience that trans women lose out on. We're not socialized in that same way. I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's a difference between us.
Yeah.
We are socialized differently. That doesn't mean that we can't have a bond as women.
Yeah. No, you can have a bond. I'm not saying you can't have a bond, but by having those different social experiences, you will have a different bond. So
right, I'm not denying that we are socialized differently, typically. Not denying that.
And can I just say too, like I transitioned very young, so I mean, sure, I was assigned male at birth, but I was a girl before I was a woman too. So I went through girlhood and womanhood, and some might even argue I went through boyhood too. But I've been through girlhood and transitioned into womanhood. So I've experienced. So when we're talking about women sharing these experiences, I've been through them. I can give an example of an unspoken bond between women. I think when we walk down the street at night time and two women look at each other from across the road, we know that there's risk there. Walking down the street alone. Like, this is an example of that unspoken bond. I think we can speak about it, and I think we can acknowledge it.
okay. So in terms of so you said you went through girlhood. So were you in girls' changing rooms? Like you went through all of that?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I mean, I was 14. So, if you want to say, woman and womanhood, I think that would be 18. So, and above. But prior to that, I was a girl.
Okay.
I mean, I just want to get a clear answer here, random. Or sorry, I've forgotten your name.
My name is Jade.
Jade. Okay. Are trans women?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We're under the umbrella of it's literally in the title.
Okay.
Trans
so
women,
then we're in agreement that we are all women, and we're in agreement that there are differences between us. I can live with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. If that's yeah, okay. That's fine then. I think we can probably leave it there then. I don't think I I didn't really have anything else to say. One thing though about, you know, the women walking alone in the dark and looking across the street at each other, or when you get into a car and you lock the doors immediately, and, you know, if you've seen a lone girl in the street and you need to get her home, like all of those things, they are things that we experience in womanhood, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as a
Yeah, it's
transgender
something that
woman,
trans women experience too.
okay,
And I've heard this from multiple trans men, but when a transgender man has reached a certain point of their transition, they talk about that changing, them no longer feeling that same way, feeling a certain amount of security on their own. So
yeah, no, do you know what?
We always have these experiences doesn't mean we can't have them at some point. I'm not saying that they're experiences that anyone should be having. We need to dismantle the patriarchy, fuck the patriarchy.
Yep.
But yeah, transgender women also have that fear walk into our car alone at night.
Okay. After this conversation, I actually think I was probably a bit narrow-minded. I'm not here to. I'm not opposition. I'm uncomfortable sometimes, but it's good having these conversations because I need to think about these things because I don't want to be transphobic.
It's all interrupted. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
I was just saying that I think it's very, very important to have that ability to step into an uncomfortable position and have these conversations. So, Jade, I believe in you. I think you still got some work to do, but I believe in you.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for having me up. And I'm so glad to talk to you, Adora. I've been watching you for ages. I think you're doing great. And I, for one, have definitely been educated by yourself. So thank you. And thank you, Hayley, is it?
Yeah, thanks. Thank you.
Thanks. Can you drop me off? I don't know how to do it. Thanks.
No problem. How's it going, Hayley?
Yeah. I think when it comes to womanhood, people assume that we don't experience the same things, and I think there's things that we do experience that are the same that I think are quite important. Sure, we're not going to have all the same experiences. I can't sit there in a room full of women and talk about getting a period, but you know, that's fine. That's not what's a defining thing of womanhood. So
exactly. Yeah. Is that a New Zealand accent? Yes, it is. That is a New Zealand accent.
yeah, W New Zealand, Aotearoa.
All right, we're going to move on to the next in just a moment here. I see we got a bunch of requests. Love to see it. If you are new to my page, if you've never watched one of my streams before, say hi in chat. Thank you for the roses. Women are stronger than men. Fucking right.
Hello, can you hear
Hello,
me?
Alicia.
Hello.
How old are you,
I'm
please?
21.
21. Fantastic. Am I a woman?
Yes and no.
Yes and no. Let's talk about. Let's start with yes. Why yes?
Because obviously you are a trans woman, which perfectly acceptable. But I think no, in the sake of calling me a cis woman and you a trans woman is a bit under just a bit of an umbrella sort of thing. Like
A lot of
you
words.
haven't been through everything that a woman would go through.
When you say I'm a trans woman, are you saying that I'm not a woman? That I'm a trans woman?
But would you say I'm a cis woman?
Yes, I would. I'm going to stab a guess that you don't identify as trans. And if you're not trans, then you are cis.
Exactly. So if I said you were a trans woman, is that wrong?
It would be factually correct. However, it's something that's not typically a good idea to say to a trans person.
So for you to call me a cis woman and I can't call you a trans woman wouldn't be okay as such.
So we have different dynamics here. I mean, there's a power dynamic in play. First of all, the trans community is oppressed. The cis community is the oppressor. Second of all, there is a certain amount of harm that can come from calling a transgender person trans, where there is no harm that can come from calling a cis person cis.
Yeah, like I would never want to offend anyone, but as such, I would see you as a trans woman, but I wouldn't want that to be as an offense or to offend you in any type of way, but for me, that is what you would be as such.
Sure, I am a trans woman, but what purpose is there in calling me a trans woman?
But what purpose is there in calling a cis woman?
So, when we're having conversations like this, when we're talking about the oppression that trans people face, the stigma, the violence, it can be relevant to use terms like trans and cis. Outside of spaces like this, it's really not relevant to use either word, trans or cis.
Yeah, like I wouldn't go to a party and be like, "Hey, this is my friend. She's a cis woman." Like I just wouldn't do that, and I would expect the same in return. I wouldn't go to a party with some friends and they introduce me to someone and say, "Hey, this is my friend Haley. She's a trans woman." I wouldn't want that.
No, I would never do that. I'd just say, "This is my friend." I wouldn't.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
would just be my friend. But I just think that there's a difference between trans women and women, because obviously I am born a female. My sex and my gender are the same, and there is a difference between sex and gender, which I fully get. But obviously, a female.
You're off that. I can't hear you.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you were listening to the last guest, but we do acknowledge there are differences between cis and trans women.
Yeah, obviously. About females that can't have kids and biologically can't have kids, even though their sex is born a female and they are that. But it's not just about not having kids, it's having the eggs is the definition of a
all women
female.
have eggs?
Yes.
No.
As a female,
Not all
you
women
are
have
born
eggs.
with eggs. Yes, you are.
Wait, did you say Adora's? But wait, when you said yes, you are you talking about?
She's
Adora?
talking about women as a whole.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, no, not all women are born with eggs.
But females are born with the ovaries to carry eggs. And yes, some may not be able to produce eggs.
Not all women are born with ovaries.
Yeah, I think it's best to say typically.
Okay, fair enough. But what I was going on was the past conversation you had. You were saying that females are people that can produce offspring and things like that, but that's not always true, because obviously some women cannot have kids, but they are born with the facilities to have kids, whether it works or
Not
not.
all. Some women are born without uteruses. No fallopian tubes, no ovaries, no uterus. Some women are born without vaginas.
But does that make you a woman
Some
if
women
you
are born
don't
with
have them
penises.
facilities?
If
you don't have them facilities, does that make you a female? Because some people can have both or none, but then you're in the middle still.
Yeah, so we take into consideration other characteristics and stuff. If a female's born without uterus, ovaries, all of that stuff, there are other features we can look to distinguish a sex.
That is very true, and I get it. You are a woman.
Yep.
But you are a trans woman. Just as I'm a cis woman, you're a trans woman, which is different
No, you're correct.
parts of life.
You're fully correct. We are
It
trans
is
women.
very different. You are a woman, but you're a trans woman, just as I'm a cis woman. But you aren't just a woman, because you're a trans woman. You go through different experiences, and you probably have awful experiences, just as cis women have awful experiences. But there's different characteristics.
By the quality of our experiences. I don't think our good experiences make us women. I don't think our bad experiences make us women. We just are.
I understand that.
There are certain experiences that are typical of womanhood that most women will experience, but not all. But that's not what makes us women.
Obviously, I'm not talking about you at all, but I have seen some trans women talk about going through the experiences of periods and things like that, which I just don't
I don't agree with that.
understand.
I mean, but symptoms, there can be some symptoms that we'd experience, but we don't menstruate. And I don't agree that trans women should be saying they menstruate. So,
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. Trans women should not be saying that they menstruate. I mean,
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not saying you guys at all, but I don't mean that as a term. We're English. I just say you guys for everyone. But
you're totally fine. I'm not
but
offended.
it's just, I've seen some trans women say that they go through the experiences of a period, and it's like, yes, you may have some of the effects, but
Right, that's what I say.
you
I say that I have
don't-
like symptoms. I have headaches,
Yeah.
nausea, mood swings, bloating, breast tenderness, abdominal cramps. These are all things that are typically associated with periods. And for a good while, I was having those monthly. I'm not anymore since the surgery, but yeah, some trans women, not all, have period-like symptoms. We don't have uteruses, so we don't menstruate.
yeah, I get that. Like, it's period symptoms, but it's not a period. But I have seen,
I would say it's not menstruation, but
Yeah,
we don't
exactly
we don't have to go into that.
which I'm glad you kind of agree on, because I've seen some trans women try to say that that's what they experience, and it's like,
Oh, I get to run my new topic. Oh, I'm excited. I have a new topic idea. Oh, I'm excited now. I'm really excited. Okay. Yeah. Soon, very soon, within a decade, we're expecting it to be possible for transgender women to menstruate and carry children.
yes, I actually ran a topic once saying trans women will be giving birth very soon, and that did not go down well. But it was very busy, that life.
Oh, we lost it. Yeah.
To be fair, I think she agreed. She said we're trans women, but we're women. She just kind of started bringing up things so that I don't think we're, you know.
You know, I as much as I want to just end the live and launch my new background, I have to talk about it with some people, make sure I have my ducks in a row. But
Yeah.
I'm very excited to be launching a new, like just before everything fucking went to fucking hell. I came up, Mel inspired me to come up with this idea for a new topic, and I think it is going to be big. I mean, maybe not immediately, maybe not right now. I might be a little too ahead of the curve.
Oh, now I'm like,
We might both be too ahead of the curve here.
I want to know. I know, but I'll wait. I'm patient.
All right. All right, we're going to bring up the next guest now, guys. If you are a follower of mine, write Gray Skull in chats. So happy to have you up here, Haley.
Oh, thanks. It's been a while. I don't get a lot of time anymore, but it's nice when I do.
Hi guys.
Hello, Cammy. How you doing?
I just want to ask a couple of quick questions. It was very interesting listening to that other woman there. I don't really care if anybody is gay, straight, bi, trans, anything at all. But all males have a prostate, and we all need a prostate check. Now, trans women still need a prostate check.
I mean, females have
Hence the
prostate.
fact
I
you
still need
cannot
to
be
get I still need a
female
prostate
if you have
exam.
a prostate.
But to be fair, there's something called a female prostate as well.
No, sorry,
Is there
there's
really?
not. I'm a medical
there is.
doctor.
No, Cammy, there is, and it actually accounts for
No.
0.03% of genital cancers. It does.
A male prostate is totally different from a woman. I am a doctor in Glasgow in Scotland. Male prostate cannot be removed from the body. All males need it. It doesn't matter what you call yourself.
No one's
Sorry,
talking about.
guys.
So this is concerning. If you're a doctor and you don't know the difference between sex and gender, that's
Yep, I
concerning.
certainly do.
Big
That's
red
why I
flag.
wanted to say to you, males cannot function without the male prostate. You cannot change it.
Where
said,
are you a doctor again? Actually, you know what? Don't doctors.
Glasgow, Scotland. As I said, I don't care
Laszlo,
what
stop.
anybody is, but
What? That's also an appeal to authority. But like at the end of the day, like if you're a doctor, that's fine. But what I'm saying is, when no one's saying the female prostate and the male prostate are exactly the same, when we're talking about the female prostate, you know what I'm speaking of, right?
But listen, like I said, I don't have a problem with anybody being anything. I really don't. But males cannot function with the female prostate. They cannot do it. It's
No one said that.
medically impossible.
But no one said, when no one was talking about removal of prostates. No one was talking about that, and you brought it up.
I know that, and I'm just putting my point across that you cannot. A female cannot have a male prostate, and a male cannot have a female prostate. It is impossible. All males need to have a prostate check at
What
the
is
age
the difference
of
between
50.
sex and gender, Cammy? Because the point you're making isn't relevant to anything that's been said here. So what is the difference between sex and gender?
My whole thinking of it is just male and female. I'm sorry to say that, and I know it might upset some folk.
So you
As I
don't
said, I
know.
don't
You're
have a problem with anybody being whatever. I really
like
don't.
you're an actual doctor, like
Yeah,
a for real doctor,
Scotland.
went to med school, got your
In Scotland,
doctor-
yes. Studied for 6 years. Yes, guys. I won't give my credentials out because we're not allowed to do that
Of course, I'm
over
not going
here.
to ask you for the credentials. I don't want you to doct yourself.
But
it's
I don't, as I said, I'm not arguing the case, whatever you are.
Sex and gender.
I just wanted to put that point across. And listen, I wish you all the luck in the world because I hate people that give you a hard time. I really do. But I just wanted to put that point across about the prostates. It is every male needs to have it checked at 50 because you
I'm
cannot
aware.
take
I need a prostate exam. It doesn't make me less of a woman.
No, it certainly doesn't. It certainly doesn't. But
And what Haley said is correct as well. There is a female prostate.
Yeah,
listen,
there is.
I wish you all the best in the world because I need to get to bed. It's very early in the morning here for us.
Guy, go back to Anatomy 101, please. Please.
I was gonna ask a couple of questions to see.
Go for it.
But I mean, I don't know. I'm not. It doesn't sound like he's interested in. Okay.
Wow. I don't believe for a second that he's a doctor.
By the way, for this person in the chat that said no, there is not. It's a gland. The prostate gland is also a gland. So to say that it's not a prostate, it's a gland. So they're both glands. Okay. And the female prostate is 0.03% of all genital cancers, the female prostate. So there is, it's there, it's recognized as a female prostate, meaning it occurs in females.
All right. Next up, if you are watching from YouTube, hi, how are we doing? How is the quality of the stream? I see I have 2 people watching on YouTube. Hi, my YouTube fans. This is like my 4th YouTube stream ever.
I love that.
Yeah. I'm simultaneously streaming to TikTok, Twitch, and YouTube all at once. My poor bandwidth.
I mean, you've got to prepare for the Armageddon of TikTok that's coming.
Trans men can grow prostate tissue. Ooh, I'll have to read that. Someone just provided me. Ooh, Jay Motivates provided me a study saying that trans men can develop a prostate. That is really interesting. Or prostate tissue, yeah. Interesting. How you doing, Meg?
Good, how are you?
Doing all right. How old are you, please?
28.
28. Fantastic. Am I a woman?
Yes. So really, I have some questions more so. So I'm part of the community, and really I was a little ignorant when it came to transgender issues. And so I started watching your debates, but also being somebody who likes knowledge, watched opposition as well. And there are 2 points that they bring up that I have a hard time kind of getting past sometimes.
Okay.
And I just would want maybe your thoughts on them.
Go for it.
So first thing is, when it comes to statistics against transgender women and violence, when it comes to like cis women essentially being victims of trans women in restrooms, and the opposition will say, well, the reason there's no statistics or data is because it's self-IDing. So if you're self-IDing, how can you have genuine data or statistic on anything? Because like I mean, I don't know what your documents say. If it's, you're still on your bio documents, different than what you currently, are, identifying as. But like, how do you get statistics when documents don't match what people's gender identity is?
They don't necessarily just look at the person's documents. They can do surveys. They can talk to people.
Yeah, and also in my country too. Things have changed a lot. But back in the day, if you were like a predator of some sort, and you did something in a bathroom, and you were trans, and you had male on your birth certificate, they would put you in the statistics with male. They don't necessarily do that now, but that's what they used to do.
Okay, so like if you were to get arrested and say like, I'm a transgender woman, even if your like documents, your birth certificate still had male per se, like you would still go under that category. I guess that's where like statistics get skewed a little bit, because there's no way to like guarantee like any kind of accuracy.
It's going to depend on the study, but there are absolutely ways to get accurate information. They could look only at people who do identify as trans, who have changed their documents, and then look at the crime data of such people. They could do interviews with people. They could do surveys. There's any number of ways that they can get this information accurately.
Okay. And then the other point that they make sometimes, that like I said, I'm a friendly. I just like want to make sure that like when I'm able to like advocate for the community, like I have like the answers to things people are making me question, So a lot of times when like someone is asked like, well, what makes you a woman? The number one answer is like, well, I have a vagina. And like, yeah. And then you'll say, well, not all women are born with vaginas. Well, then we like make the deduction that they're a woman based on other characteristics. So for example, like, chromosomes, estrogen levels, maybe they don't have a vagina, but have like female reproduction or, reproductive organs. So
my argument is that there is one universal trait that all women have, and that is that innate sense of self. Not all women have XX chromosomes. Not all women have vaginas. Not all women develop breasts. Not all women are capable of having babies, etc. Not all women have more estrogen than testosterone.
Okay, so like the thing that you perceive or the thing that you think makes you a woman essentially is just sense of self. Like that, your innate sense of self, like that is the determining factor in womanhood.
It's the one universal trait that we all have. Now, when someone says that their womanhood is their femininity, their body, their ability to give birth, etc. When someone says that is a core part of their womanhood, that's valid. I'm not going to take that away from them. But that is not a universal thing that all women have in common. So other women can have different things that they value, that they associate with their own womanhood. And that doesn't make them less of a woman.
Okay, so essentially, like, same thing like past guests have said, womanhood is essentially an umbrella, and we're just all under the umbrella, and, like, some people might think, like, this thing makes me more womanly, or this thing makes me more womanly, but essentially they're just different parts of womanhood, and you fall under the umbrella like me.
We're all going to have slightly different ideas of what womanhood is, and we see this in not just culture to culture, but community to community.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. Like I said, I'm a friendly. I'm just trying to like obviously work through some maybe like internal transphobia, and always trying to like understand more and be a better advocate for the community. And sometimes I listen to opposition and like have those like intrusive thoughts of like, oh well, that makes sense. And like obviously I just like to hear like some thoughts and feedback from somebody who actually is transgender.
All right, I appreciate you coming up.
All right, thank you. Bye.
Bye. All right, guys, I'm going to do one more good conversation, and then I'm going to end. Oh, I have two requests. One of them's been here a little while. Tristan. Chirpin. Put in a request, Tristan. Hello, Obsidian. How you doing?
Piale no chime, piale no wampayoan, net no toka isliocelot, one ni masewal. That translates to.
Okay.
I do. Yes.
Okay.
This is my indigenous language of Nahuatl. It's the standard greeting I give. Hello, everyone. Hello, all my relatives. I am Obsidian Jaguar, and I'm indigenous. I am also proud parent to a trans child who I've successfully raised into an adult. So absolutely, Adora, you are a woman.
Thank you.
And I'm here as a trans parent to counter this whole narrative people call it a mental illness. I've raised a trans child into an adult. I've done a lot of research into neurophysiology, other medical fields, endocrinology. Like, I've had to look into this to best advocate for my kid. So all the naysayers saying it's a mental illness or what have you, just, shush. The people who read books and actual papers are talking.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you so much, Obsidian. I apologize for interrupting you.
Oh no, you're fine. You're fine. This is your life, but yeah, I'm here because I'm over the transphobia. I'm over the bigotry. I'm over the normalization of it. I've had enough. Like, I'm indigenous. Say something about my son. Say something. I fucking dare you. You won't say it to me, to my face. And that's the thing. Us parents, trans kids, we advocate. The ones who don't turn their children away, we advocate because we love our kids. And because, I want to say this from an indigenous perspective, we don't have strict gender roles in our cultures. Some cultures did. Most of our cultures did not. In fact, we held gender non-conforming, trans, non-binary people to a very high standard in our societies. We looked to them for wisdom, for medicine, for what people would call, for lack of a better word, astrology. They knew our calendars. We looked at these people for wisdom and we held them in very high regard. So we hold our people, no matter what they identify as indigenous people, we hold them sacred. And nothing, no settler, colonial worldview or ideology will ever change that. Ever. Plaza Kamati.
I appreciate that. I'm also Indigenous Maori to New Zealand, and pre-colonization, we actually, even after, we actually did have sort of certain gender roles, but the thing is, we were very inclusive. We are very inclusive, very accepting people. So we have never really had any issues amongst Maori people. It's always, especially when it comes to the LGBT communities, we've been really lucky over in New Zealand here, Aotearoa. So we've got a really good country here. So, but I recognize that, there's so many different cultures and understandings, especially of gender and sex. As, you go to different places around the world and it's always going to be different, and people just need to accept that. And I don't know why it's so hard to accept. Like, you wouldn't go to that country and start forcing your opinions on them. You'll get told to get the fuck out. Like,
I'm just gonna.
I appreciate you both. I'm gonna end the live now. Relax a little bit, but I love you both. All right.
oh, thanks, Adora.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, Obsidian. Bye. Okay. All right. That was a good live. I wasn't sure. Bye, Haley. Wasn't sure how long I was going to go. Obviously, I'm working on my day off. Because why not, right? Let's see. Who's live? Ari is live. Everyone head on over to Ari Plummer. Head on over to Ari Plummer. We're going to do an Adora raid. All right. Head over to Ari Plummer, Adora raid in chat. Don't spam it. We don't want to be annoying. But I will see you guys later. Bye.